What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday service, everybody. So, for those of you that may be tuning in for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Cody Barton. Myself and my partner, Pace Morby, typically run this every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Arizona time. For those of you that are new or maybe just haven't heard it from one of the past lives, we are on Spotify and iTunes as well. So, while you're driving to work, while you're working out, while you're doing whatever you're doing, you can tune in to Sunday service now throughout the week, listen to past episodes as well. If you like what we're doing with the show, make sure to give us a good rating on iTunes and everything. So we're super excited. This Sunday is Pace's birthday. So he is currently at dinner with his wife and his kids for his birthday. So just finished up playing golf with him earlier. But we have a really awesome Sunday service coming tonight. Super excited to have Noah on. So I'm going to jump right into it, guys. We have Noah Hoffman on tonight. We're going to be talking about AirBnBs. We're going to be talking about, purchasing properties on creative finance terms, seller carries, SubTos, and then with the exit strategy of Airbnb, why myself and Pace are doing more of that right now going, into 2021. What are some of the, pros and cons to Airbnb? I am going to ask, Noah some questions about Airbnb as well. And then for everybody that's on here, we're going to open it up for some questions as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I want you to introduce yourself, Noah. Let everyone know, where you come from, and how you got into real estate. Brief rundown of that, and in your opinion, why you love Airbnb so much, and then we'll jump right in.
Okay, great. Thank you, Cody, and thanks for having me on.
100%.
Yeah. So how I got in originally was I had way back, 8 years ago, way back, I had a friend who was a landlord, had a lot of properties in Berkeley, California, and I wanted to learn real estate from him, but he kind of got in a traditional way.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't really, it felt like there was no way for me to get in. I didn't have big down payments to do that. But so he needed people like tradesmen, plumbers, carpenters. That's what he wanted. He didn't really have a spot for me to get in. But one time he had a vacant unit come open. It was a studio. And I had just heard about Airbnb. It was in 2012. And I said, hey, let's furnish it and let me manage it for you as an Airbnb. And he said, okay, let's do it. We furnished it. Guests started booking and they just never stopped. And it's 8 years later now, and that unit is still full, still occupied with guests. Eventually, I started managing more units for him, 5 units for him. I started managing one for his brother, started managing for basically all people word of mouth. I started doing arbitrage. So at that time, I had like basically 3 jobs. I had my carpet cleaning business. I started with Airbnb management, and I was driving Uber at one point. So one of the carpet cleaning customers that I used to clean their carpet, he owned a lot of property. So I started asking him. I would pitch my Airbnb business to carpet cleaning, like property owners. So a few of them hired me to manage their properties, and one of them said he would rent me his property to put on Airbnb. And it took him a year to say yes, by the way. It was a long sales cycle. And then anyhow, he saw how good I took care of his property.
Yeah.
And by the way, the first property, I offered him over market rent for it, a little bit over market rent, like 10% over market rent. And I gave him a full month deposit. He saw how good I kept it. He saw house cleaners coming in and out. He saw how it was furnished really nicely. And he said, okay, I have another unit coming up. And then for that second unit, I said, okay, well, I can't give you a full deposit. How about a half a month deposit? So every next unit I got from him, I got a little better deal. Eventually, I started learning how to buy properties myself with my wife. And we got an owner occupied loan mortgage for a duplex. And in the Bay Area here, the prices are so high. And so the margins are really, really slim. Even with Airbnb, it was really tight.
And
partially
where's that at for everybody listening?
Richmond, California, San
Okay.
Francisco, East Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have like a rent controlled tenant upstairs who's paying like half of market. And so even my Airbnb downstairs doesn't really make up for it. So then I really like started brainstorming, and that's when I got into remote management. I found out about Fresno, California, which is 3 hours away. Actually, let me back that up. I had a friend who had a unit in Las Vegas, a
Mm-hmm.
vacant condo. He says, "Can you manage it?" I said, "No, that's crazy. It's too far." He said, "I have a nephew there. He can help you." So I said, "Okay, let's try it." And then it just went like perfect. I found house cleaners online and handymen online. Like I didn't go there for the first year. I didn't even like go see it at all the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Then I flew out, helped set up a second unit, and then eventually was managing four in Vegas, and that gave me confidence to go to other markets. So I started investing in Fresno, California, which is about 3 hours south, 3 to 4 hours south, and then so I started buying units there also. Conventional loans,
Yeah.
you know, one per year, and that's when I kind of ran into that brick wall, and that's how I found out about. I started looking at wholesaling, and that's how I found out about SubTo. Ran into you and Pace. So, and now since actually, I'm a student of you and Pace in the mentorship, and so now since then I got one SubTo deal in Bakersfield, California, that I JV on, and that's probably my best house because it's an awesome house with a pool and hot tub that we
Nice.
got for zero down. And
Amazing.
actually, we're still waiting on this testimonial because the woman is so happy. She got us. She sold us this house for zero down that we cash flow like crazy on. Got another owner finance with another great guy, another SubTo student, an owner finance deal, and so a lot of good stuff is happening. So
That's amazing. That's an amazing story, Noah. So for everybody listening, and I know a lot of more people just had jumped in here. We're talking about Airbnb tonight. So we will get into some of the questions that you guys do have. Where are you guys tuning in from? Let us know in the comments. What city or state that you're tuning in from tonight. So you've gotten a couple of properties picked up. On creative terms, SubTo, seller carry. Obviously, that's something that Pace and myself are doing a lot more of, him more so than even myself, but he has me on with the bug of doing it now as well. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of Airbnb in general, just in your personal opinion from now doing this for 8 years, right? What would you say, for people that are listening in that are like, I'd love to be able to start doing Airbnb investing and creating a higher amount of cash flow than standard rentals. Like what would you say are the top few things that people maybe need to keep in mind that are the cons, but then also on the pros when it comes to Airbnbs?
okay. So if we start with the cons,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that everyone has to keep in mind, it does cost money to set it. It costs more money to set it up than if you like sell it on a wrap. If you rent it
Right.
out, sell it on a lease option, all that, you don't have to furnish it.
Yeah.
We're spending, 8 to 15,000 to set these houses up because they look at the pictures, and the
Yeah.
pictures and the location are the only thing that the guest has to choose. So the
Mm-hmm.
pictures have to look great. So the house has to look great. The furniture can't be the cheapest available.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one con is it does cost money. It costs more
What would you
money.
say is the average setup then? Is it the 8 to 15,000? Obviously, it'll vary depending on how big the house is and the pool and everything. But what's like the typical, cost that it is that you see?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to say 10 to 12,000. I mean,
Okay.
if you can't, I mean, it depends. Like if you really want to be zero involved, completely hands off, it will be a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
because I've always been really good at like in my local market. I can do it for a lot less because
Mm-hmm.
I have I collect furniture here in the Bay Area. I have like several storages or garages filled with furniture. I have I collect it. I buy it used. I get it free, but I can't do that out of state as
Yeah.
much. I still do get stuff used, but it takes more time to track it down and deliver it. But
Yeah.
Oh, a couple other cons. So Airbnb is an active business. It's not a passive investment. So,
Right.
we're constantly fighting claims, from guests. Like, the battery died in the remote. I want some money back, or whatever. Like my feet got wet. The whatever. Like there's always little, things involved. So, it's a
Yeah.
business. It's a lot more involved. Um, let's see here. So other cons. So you have to know your market a little bit. So a lot of people. So the location is a pro. There's pros and cons. So a lot of people think it has to be in a tourist location
Uh-huh.
destination, and that's not true. And actually, there's there's like a graph that show the least and most profitable locations, and some of the least profitable locations are places like San Francisco and Santa Monica. Least profitable. It's because the price of the property is so high.
Mm-hmm.
So destinations can be great if you get a great deal, but actually most of my guests are traveling workers, traveling construction workers and medical workers, and other reasons. So places that you wouldn't think are, do well, do great. Like, you know, um, not necessarily big towns. A lot of little towns do really good.
That
Um,
makes sense. That's interesting because that was something that I had is a little bit of a limiting belief. Just that you probably need to have it in like the heart of Old Town Scottsdale here in Arizona where everything's happening to even do well on an Airbnb. So because I thought that was something that was a must, but there are a lot of people that do travel that aren't just going for vacation. There's work and things like that bring people place. So makes a lot of sense. So okay, so obviously, a few of the cons there, as far as the pros, what would you say are the top like pros that, for people that are looking or considering doing Airbnb that, you would, suggest why they should get into it?
well, so for example, what I did, I didn't have any other way to get into real estate at all. So this was the first like toe in the door, was to manage an Airbnb for someone else. And and you can even arbitrage. You have to build a relationship with the property owner, and then you do have to use some credit cards to furnish it. You have to find a way to get that done, or you get free furniture like me on Craigslist free section, um, which they give away great stuff in bigger cities, and in nicer areas. But so obviously the best thing is way higher returns, and that's pretty much like across the board. Like, you know, um, Airbnb, you can rent a tent on Airbnb in your backyard
Yeah.
for $10 a night. You can rent a treehouse. Like if you go to
Yeah.
Airbnb's website, they show a treehouse
Yeah.
because you can. So it's like the mindset you have to. So for me, any property I own, I'll put it on short term rental. I don't care where it is. I will try it anywhere. Like except for I wouldn't do it in North Korea or Syria, but besides that, I
Yeah.
would do it anywhere. Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean,
Interesting.
I would want to make sure there's at least 20 other Airbnbs in that town. Something like, I don't want it to be too small. Like a
Yeah.
lot of cities have thousands of Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And you can just go to airdna.co, type a city name in their market minder, and you'll see like there's 7,500 active Airbnbs in Atlanta, for example. You go to smaller towns, there's at least a couple hundred everywhere. So Airbnb is like a brand, like a hotel brand now.
Yeah.
And so imagine if you have a place and you can just stick it on Holiday Inn's website. Like,
Right.
it has its own following. Like you don't have to do the marketing. Like people just come.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So there's a couple of really good questions that had popped up here. I know T-Town Supreme has asked this a couple times, so I think it's a hot button for them to get this answered. What type of security system do you use in the Airbnb properties?
So I do use cameras. I
Mhm.
didn't use them starting out, but I started with Nest,
Uh-huh.
and then eventually I went over to Ring
Mhm.
because their monthly subscription is a little bit lower, and they work well. They're the cheapest, but they work well.
Awesome, awesome. And then there is another Darren Talcott, dude. Great question. So how accurate would you say in general, right? Obviously, some markets are going to vary, but generally how accurate are, the income projections that like the Airbnb calculator sites come up with when you're actually underwriting a property?
So on AirDNA Rentalizer, it's kind of like their Rent-O-Meter. On AirDNA Rentalizer, it's really accurate. So it's not perfect. So I just recently was looking through a bunch of my properties, comparing it, and some of them were a little more, some of them a little less. So it's not perfect, but AirDNA calculator is really close.
Gotcha. So would you say that's the main place people should be going when they're starting to do their underwriting for considering putting a property on Airbnb? Is it AirDNA? Is there other websites you use, or what are the other tools that you recommend for people to take a look at?
I just started using Price Labs market dashboard. So because AirDNA might have like at least a 1 month lag on their data, Price Labs is like very current, up to like you can see like last week's trends, like what's picking up this month, like literally in real time in a certain neighborhood, like how many bookings are happening. So I've started to look at Price Labs also.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So Price Labs, Darren also is a good resource there. So Chuck Billy, he was just at the mastermind this weekend. So good to spend some time with you at the mastermind, Chuck. So his question is there some special insurance that's needed? And, follow-up question to that, how do you stop people from having parties at the house? Even if it says no parties.
Yeah, great questions. So on the insurance, I know there are new companies that are advertising short-term rental insurance, but I haven't used any yet. So Airbnb has their own host guarantee, $1 million host guarantee, and I file lots of claims with Airbnb. I've gotten up to a $6,500 claim when we had guests rob the whole house. They pulled their truck in the garage. They took washer, dryer, beds, TVs, dining sets. And it's like the house cleaner called me and said, Noah, we've been robbed. You've been robbed. And I was so nervous, but we had like a 1 month booking getting ready to check in 1 week later. So I didn't have time to worry. So I just got online, started ordering used furniture on Craigslist. People were delivering it. The house cleaner was helping manage it. I didn't even have to show up, and it was, all ready to go a week later. And I got paid out $6,500 from Airbnb. So Airbnb loves paperwork. They want either receipts or screenshots of replacement products with the number on it, like from a company, any furniture store, whatever. And I'm doing it all the time. That's one of the parts of the business is filing claims. It's an active thing. And so it's like if someone stains a new sheet, breaks a wine glass, I can file a claim and get paid.
Interesting. Okay. So that part of that, where you're setting up these properties, so you're documenting everything that you get placed into the houses for that specific reason on those claims.
Yeah. I mean, literally, somebody tried to ask, we're also fighting claims. Somebody was asking for half their money back just a few days ago because there wasn't enough plates in the house for their group. They had like 9 people. They only found 6 big plates. There was plenty of medium-sized plates, small plates. And, but I have all this documented. I have videos, photos, everything. And, so they didn't get Airbnb, they'll make the final decision. You both provide your evidence and your reasoning, and they will decide. So they went with me, and we didn't have to give them anything back on that. As far as having parties, there is a new device called Noise Aware. And and you plug it in, and it'll know if this decibels get loud in your property and can send you an alert. So that can, alert you. I haven't used it.
Okay. I was like, so handle that then. If you get the alert, then you reach out to the people there, or what?
Right. So that's what you would do. But I haven't. I've seen on my video camera, I saw a party happening. I saw like probably like 100 people pouring into my unit at like midnight once. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't even think I should call the police. Like, I just waited, and like I saw them all leaving like right on dime of 3 a.m. So I was like, okay, those look like high school students, a little bit responsible, and they cleaned up and it was okay, you know. Um, I had another party that wasn't as okay, but it still ended up okay. I got a scary call at 6 in the morning, and it's like the worst call you ever want to get. Noah, this is Gladys, your neighbor, down on 24th Street. Your Airbnb guest had a party last night, and they were outside fighting. A car drove off, screeching their tires, and hit a car across the street, and then crashed into a house.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I called my
Oh,
good buddy who always comes to these problems with me. We drove over. I saw the car was totaled. You know, I just wanted to like address the situation right away. I saw
yeah.
the car was totaled. The family was outside. The dad was like, "Yeah, this is my daughter. She's 18. She's like just got her license." She was sad, and I was like, "Well, was the car insured?" They were like, "Yeah, fully insured." I was like, "Okay, great." Nobody was hurt. The person's bumper was still laying in the yard, and they said, you know, and by the way, the woman is in jail already. They found her. The cops found her, and it was my guest, the one who booked it. And the house part, they crashed into like a concrete part of the porch, so they just scratched it a little bit, and uh, and it was no problem.
Oh my God. Was that the craziest thing that you've had to deal with,
Yeah,
or?
yeah, those two were some of the craziest. And I had one person who refused to leave and refused to pay.
Uh,
They booked a whole month, and then
so
after,
they
yeah,
create tenancy so that you had to evict them.
but I didn't do it. So what I did is I just went um like to the old neighborhood and got one of my big friends to go over there with me just to kind of like intimidate him a little bit. We didn't do anything, but he was like, "Hey, I booked this. I'm supposed to be checking in next." And he kind of scared him a little bit, and then we left, and then like the next day they left. So we
Oh
didn't
my,
have to. Oh, but actually there was a longer story to that. They did call the cops, the people in the unit, the guests, and they called the cops and said, "Hey, like somebody's trying to break in our apartment." And even though we were just outside, so cops came with dogs. But I learned this trick on YouTube. I had a lease in my backpack from the
uh-huh.
owner to me, and so I told the cops like, "I have the lease in my backpack. Please take a look at it." And so the cops saw, okay, you know, these people are squatting on you basically, but you know, you have to go through the county and proper channels. But they let us go, and then you know, the tenants saw that like we don't, you know, we kind of pretended like we don't know anything about the law and stuff like that. I mean, even though I had the lease, but like we
Yeah.
kind of acted a little crazy, and so they left the next day.
Wow. That's intense.
But about the Richmond party, that's why I don't do 1 day stays in that city anymore. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it wouldn't really make sense to do 1 day stays. Or in general, what do you typically require? For like 2 3 day stay, 2 to 3 nights, or what do you typically recommend for people to do?
That's the awesome question because what I've done for years now is so for 90 days and out, I'll have a 30-day minimum. So that means so I don't want someone to book for 2 days like 5 months from now because they're going to block someone who was trying to come for 2 months. So
Uh,
so 90 days and further, I'll have like a 30-day minimum. And like between 60 and 90 days, I might change it to a 14-day minimum. And as it gets closer, I reduce the minimum night stay all the way down to 2 and 3 nights, and fill those gaps as it gets closer.
that's really smart. That's a great nugget just to increase your revenue that you're bringing in on those longer stays.
Yeah, and by the way, I used to do that all manually, and then just recently, when I signed up with Price Labs, they have a setting for like far and super far minimum night stay settings, and like so Price Labs will do that automatically for me now. Mhm.
That's awesome. Love that. So on the party thing, you pretty much, you make it be 2 to 3 night stays. Anything else that you do in like the description or anything like that, or you just hope for the best?
Well, I mean, so I had some special situation. Yeah, I hope for the best, pretty much.
Yeah.
You have to be, it's just like when you rent to someone. Anyone can tear up your property, but you have to
Yeah.
kind of go in with a positive attitude. And usually the worst doesn't happen. Even on that time, like there was another party once. The owner who lived like in a adjoining unit, he called me, "Noah, you got to get over here. These people are having a party. I don't want to go out there and bring my gun." Something like that, he
Oh,
said. and I was driving Uber at the time. So I really like didn't want to go at 2 a.m. to some party to tell people to stop partying. And it's the only time I ever did it. But I just pulled up and like they were outside drinking alcohol, like peeing in the street and
Oh my
like,
God.
and I told them, can you wrap up? And I didn't get out my car. Like they were outside literally. And they were like, yeah. We're the cops already told us to turn it down. We're gonna, but like the music was still on. I was like, okay, well, they were like, okay, everyone's leaving. So I just pulled over like a block away and just like waited in my car for like 45 minutes, and they slowly left. And they cleaned up though. By the next day, like all the trash was bagged up. So
Wow.
even the worst nightmares aren't that bad.
Interesting. Love that. Love that. So I'm curious, Noah, because I know obviously you're managing Airbnbs for Pace, and then you're going to be doing some for me and Pace right now. We have this property on Sonnet. We're working on getting these other tenants out of our property on a historic home that we have with a guest house that we want you to manage. And then we're under contract on another buy that we want to get you to help us with as well. Are you looking on, just for people that may be listening in, are you looking to expand your business and managing more people's Airbnbs, or are you kind of in a position where you're just trying to manage just more of your own internally, or what are your goals with that?
Okay. So thanks for asking. But so as far as the management, it's kind of a case by case basis.
Mm-hmm.
I can't take on too much at once,
Right.
but at case by case, I am managing more units, and I'm also, I look at you and Pace as such big givers. You know, you guys could retire today if you wanted to, I'm sure, but you share so much, all the nuggets just freely, and people have been calling me a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I might get 10, 20 calls, people asking me about Airbnb. So I decided to make a course myself.
I
It's
love that.
it's like an 8-week course that I'm launching next Saturday. So
That's
that's
amazing.
going to be for people who want to do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. So what's the best way for people to reach out to you in regards to that? Just message you on Instagram, Facebook, or just for people to reach out for that, because I think that would definitely help a lot of people.
Yeah, so you can message me on Instagram, and I have a link in my bio, and the website for the course is airbnblaunchpad.com.
Awesome. So airbnblaunchpad.com. And that's your Instagram at Airbnb King Noah on Instagram.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That's for the people that are listening in after not watching us on here live. Okay, so let's take a look here. So Chuck is asking another good question. Are you typically filing more insurance claims for an Airbnb compared to normal rental? It sounds like more Airbnb direct claims versus your own insurance claims, right?
Correct. So I haven't filed any claims through an actual insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
I had a home warranty at one point, and I had an AC that went out, and the home warranty company, they said they don't know how many days it's going to take. It could take a week, and I couldn't wait a week. So,
Right.
obviously, that wasn't a claim I could blame Airbnb for. So I just like paid cash for that AC repair on that one. But then like the next day they were like, okay, it's ready. We have the part, and I was like, damn, I could have waited a day. But yeah, so I haven't filed any claims with any traditional insurance companies.
Gotcha. So Kenny has a question on, do you find that filing claims against, people that are staying at the property messes with your ratings? And also, are you making claims for small items like, scratching the floor, maybe damaging the floor, like small, minor, like wear and tear items? Or where do you draw the line, I guess, between, going after a claim or not going after a claim?
Well, so sometimes you have to use your gut, and sometimes you have to be empathetic. Sometimes you just have to kind of let things slide. You have to just use your judgment. But and it's a case by case because um, it's like you literally can ask for lots of small things like missing pillows, because you kind of get you can get nickel and dime to death by
Yeah.
people like breaking dishes. That's so petty, but like staining brand new sheets or things like that.
Yeah.
And so it's like the hard part is having that house cleaners notify you in time because you have to file the claim before the next guest checks in. You have to at least you have to start it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But as far as reviews, I did just get hit with a bad review, unfortunately, today, because I didn't give a guy enough money back. Like our lock failed. Once in a while it happens, like very
Mm-hmm.
rarely, but a digital lock failed. And I didn't have, usually I have a backup key in the lockbox,
Yeah.
but it wasn't there. So it was my bad. And luckily it was close enough for me to go through, like crawl through a window, get this guy in the house. I was trying to like find the other copies, but I couldn't in time. And he left me a bad review today saying, it took Noah, an hour to get me into the house. I appreciate he did it, but it shouldn't have happened. So I got
Yeah.
hit with a little bit of a bad review because I didn't give him $100 that he asked me for. I
Yeah.
gave him 25.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. So, I mean, you're just going to be dealing with these people. So, let's see what other questions that we have here. So there's a lot of questions coming in. Did anyone catch the PriceLab site? Is it literally just pricelab.com, you said?
Yeah, or it might be IO. Let me see here. Yeah, it's just literally Price Labs, Price Labs right here. .co.
.co, pricelabs.co. Got it. Got it. And so this is an interesting question. I'm curious as well. Is John says, I have a VRBO caching very well. Do you prefer Airbnb over VRBO? Do you use both for advertising the property?
So I know VRBO has been around a lot longer than Airbnb actually, and
Mm-hmm.
they are stronger in some traditional tourist locations.
Okay.
But I'm not actually in the hard. I'm not in any areas where VRBO is stronger than Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't use it now, but I did use for 1 year. I tested with the channel manager. I tested. I was on Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway, which are now merged, and they're owned by Expedia. And there's also Expedia Vacation Rentals and Booking.com. So I was on like all those sites for 1 year to kind of test it.
Uh-huh.
And if I found that, 85% of my bookings still came from Airbnb,
Mm-hmm.
and all the other ones were like 10 times more work than Airbnb. So I stopped it. I stopped using all of them, even though I did make money. And so I might go back to them at some point, but I would need to like dedicate somebody to run all of that for me. I just it was a bit much at the time for me doing it by myself.
Yeah. So speaking of, doing that by yourself, I saw someone had asked the question as well on, what does your team look like for the management of the properties now? Is it just you, or do you have anyone else that's helping you out on the management side of things?
Sure. So on the management side, so not cleaners. Obviously, we have house
Yeah.
cleaners, handyman.
Right.
So I recently hired a full-time assistant
Uh-huh.
who is amazing. And
Local or
she
overseas?
virtual, a virtual assistant, and she came with like a lot of experience with short-term rental. So like I
Mhm.
tried to train another VA, and
Yeah.
it was like I can't see your screen. I was like, okay, forget it.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, so then I went back and I found the right experience, and it's been like a lifesaver. So now we're gonna get another one, and I'm really starting to divide roles out. Um, so but that's it right now. That's it for the management, me and my main assistant. But I'm trying to I hire kind of local helpers in every market.
Right.
And one kind of awesome thing that I did in Goodyear when I came to Phoenix the first time
Yeah.
was I made a flyer that said, I'm looking to pay somebody to roll my garbage can out to the street and bring it back every week, and I will pay you $25 a month. So I made this flyer and I went door to door in the neighborhood, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I wanted to find someone that was just within a couple of blocks,
Yeah.
because that's the only person who it's going to be worth, who's going to be able to do it for $25. And
Yeah.
like I found somebody immediately, and so that's invaluable to find somebody like a helper within a few blocks, who's not going to charge you an arm and a leg to help you out when you need something.
Gotcha. I love that. So, and then obviously, I mean, for here, let's talk a little bit about Sonnet, the new property that we signed on Friday, should be recording and finalizing the closing on Monday here. What does that setup look like? I'll kind of give everyone a little bit of background on that property. We bought this property it's a 4-bed. I can't remember if it's 3-bath or not, but it's a 4-bed, 2-bath or 3-bath. I can't really remember. But we bought it for $475,000, $10,000 down. So we're financing $465,000 at 2% interest, which is a freaking great deal. Seller carry. And on this particular deal, we have to put, a decent chunk of cash into it up front. We're spending about $35,000 getting the interior ready. There's some roof work that needs to be done. And then it sounds like another 10, 15,000-ish on getting the interior of that one set up. So what does that process look like? We're closing on it tomorrow. We have our, construction teams going in to get the renovation started, to get it ready for you. What are some of those, I guess, for maybe people that are new, that obviously they can get your course, but what are some of the first things that you do in, getting a property ready to roll?
So the first thing I do is I get all the utilities on. And and that might mean I need a lease or some kind of documents that show I have the rights to the property. I get the water, electric, gas, internet is important. Then the first things I want on the lock on the house are the digital lock and maybe the Ring camera, the Ring doorbell. And then I can start getting deliveries. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing more and more on Amazon. So basically, like my 3 go-tos are like Amazon, Walmart, IKEA.
Do you save store, like your most commonly bought stuff in Amazon, like an Amazon list that's like click, purchase, ship, all of it type thing?
Yes. But lately I'm always looking for something a little bit different. Sometimes stuff isn't available, but I have been saving lists. Amazon and Walmart lets you save lists on their website. Mm-hmm. And you can share them. It has a share feature too, so it's pretty good. But I usually get the bedding from IKEA and nightstands and bedding from IKEA, and everything else from now more and more on Amazon, more and more furniture, and then also Facebook Marketplace. It used to be Craigslist for I can get a really good deal on dining set and living room set, and sometimes some appliances. I'll get appliance, like used appliances, but with a warranty, like a 30-day warranty letter, like used from a shop.
Yeah.
So that. I just got to start ordering that stuff, because I need to find, as soon as possible, because I start finding bottlenecks, like something might, I might not be able to get something. Yeah. So, but those are the first things there. Just start ordering it, and some stuff can take a couple of weeks to arrive. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. So, man, there's so many freaking good questions. I don't know if you're seeing, these coming through here. I'm gonna try to get to a few of these here. I think if you guys would, get value from that, maybe what we can do is, put a yes or a peace sign in the comment section. If once we finish up the renovation and, get the new property that we just bought on Sonnet done, maybe we could do a YouTube video when you're out here just talking about the property and highlight what we're on. Oh, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Lost you for a sec. That was weird. Anyways, yeah, maybe we could do a YouTube video, breaking down that deal. I think that would be fun.
Let's do it, man. I think everyone should come check it out.
Yes, Christopher, I don't know what was going on with my internet there for a second. This is a good question from Adrian. He says, hey, Noah, is there a minimum amount of cash flow that you consider while seeing if the property will be a good Airbnb? Like, what is that, what does that need to look like? Like, say, for example, on like Sonnet, like that one, if you know the numbers off the top of your head, like I think our all-in mortgage is in the low 2000s, like 22 or 2300 a month. And obviously that one seemed like a good enough deal for you, letting us know that it's a good enough deal. So maybe whether it's an example of using that one or just like a general rule of thumb that you go off of.
I really do need to get that number and percentage down, but I don't have, I can't tell you what's a good deal, because when I started, I was willing to go slimmer, like I was willing to break even to learn, but
Right.
but I think for everyone that's a little bit different. So no, I'm sorry, I don't have a great answer, I think.
I think it'll just, case by case a little bit on like what is someone willing to spend. I mean, for us, like we're gonna, put $70,000 in capital into that deal, and looking at it, I think we should be getting a 20% cash on cash return, within the first year. It seems like from the numbers on that particular property, but we'll see as it goes over the, this year.
And I can also throw out, one house, like in houses like in the Bay Area, the margin is really slim. But in Fresno, California, for example, I can double my mortgage, if I self-manage it, something like that.
Awesome. Matt Beard, he lives in a concrete box. I do live in a concrete building. Sorry, guys. So what are your thoughts on some of the restrictions on Airbnb? Like, obviously like some of the HOAs that start cracking down. Is there anything that, that people should know in regards to that, or any, due diligence that they should be doing?
For sure. Like if you're about to spend $70,000, you should look it up for sure. But I can tell you one thing: the entrepreneurial mindset will say you look for the yes, don't look for the no. So I'd like to give an example of when I managed a couple of condos in the HOA, and we got first we got a message on Airbnb: hey, I recognize that complex. I'm on the board. You're not supposed to do Airbnb. So the first thing we did, me and the owner, we thought about it. We took down the exterior photos, and I took the pool photo out and put a similar, but like an equal but different pool photo in. But then what we decided, the owner decided, he thought about it. He said, you know what? Don't worry about it. And we even got like a letter. A letter came saying you're not supposed to do short-term rental. And the owner thought about it. He meditated and said, you know what? We're going to keep going unless they send us a fine. Unless they send us a fine or like a letter from an attorney, we're going to keep going. And we went for years longer after that. So Airbnb, some people hate Airbnb and some people love it. And there's like a lot of like Airbnb boogeymen out there who will say like, oh, you're not supposed to do this and you're not supposed to do it here and there. But I wouldn't just take that and accept it. I would push back and do more research. So because same thing in Berkeley, California, I heard, oh, you're not supposed to do it. And then like, or they're thinking about banning it and things like that. I went to city council meetings for 2 years, like waiting for the update, waiting for the rules. And then they kept postponing it, that eventually I gave up. I said, okay, well, they know where to find me. And finally in 2021, like 5 years later, like they sent out their first fine. So, so Berkeley, it's like, it's not a great place. It's a horrible place. Like the regulations, you have to be owner occupant. You have to be owner occupant to do anything under 14 days. So I would stay away from those cities, those very popular vacation towns, like, like San Francisco, Berkeley, New York. You know, there's certain places where I would definitely stay out of.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. So, I mean, this is probably, Evan has a question on, looking at Palm Springs as a region, each city has different laws. Do you stay away from Palm Springs? I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but, that might be a similar situation that you're talking about.
Right. So I don't know about Palm Springs, no. But I do know a little bit about Las Vegas. And so Las Vegas proper, they said you have to get a license, but there are all these other little city limits that are still considered Las Vegas. And they're a different actual like city law. So I was managing units in Las Vegas and never got a warning, never got anything. And apparently that was over a different border, even though it's still considered Las Vegas. So, but no, I don't know about Palm Springs.
Gotcha. So I think this is a good question from Keegan. So when you're first starting out, like say a new Airbnb, are you typically pricing it at like the, market rates of other similar properties, or are you undercutting competition to drive up your traffic, try to get your reviews up, or what's the strategy that you go off of there?
I honestly don't go too low. Now, Airbnb will ask you, do you want to give a 20% discount? And we will feature your listing for your first 3 reservations. So you could do that, but make
Mhm.
sure you put like a 3-day minimum when you're doing that, because somebody will book it for 2 months and get that huge discount. So make sure you
Wow.
give it like a,
Three
a
day,
3, huh?
3 day max.
I would give a 3-day max when you
Okay.
give the 20% discount when you first launch. For the first 3 reservations, 3-day max each, and then I would go to market, because honestly, I think Airbnb will push up higher prices sometimes. They want the higher price places to book also. So
Yeah.
so it might, you might not be safe in the algorithm if you're too cheap.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So John's asking, how much percentage is Airbnb keeping of the overall fee? Like, what's that look like?
It fluctuates. It's about 12 to 15%. They don't give an exact. They charge like a 3% transaction fee to the guest, and then they charge a host fee. But they don't. If you look it up, like you won't find exact. It's like a range, and
Okay.
and they can change that.
Gotcha. So Christopher is asking, where do you find housekeepers? Say like a market like Georgia, like this 1 point whatever $1 million property Pace just bought in Georgia. How are you finding, new cleaners and in the new market to go and take care of that property on a consistent basis?
Awesome. Yeah. So these are all the important things. I used to, and so I've changed the way I do that over the years, but I used to go to an app called Handy. On Handy, you can book a house cleaner for like next day cleaning. You can just book a house cleaner,
Oh wow.
and then yeah, and then if they do well, then you get their contact and go direct. But I stopped using Handy because there's a lot of like one person cleaning teams. So now what I want like a 3 to 5 person team, or like a 3 to 5 car cleaning company, a small cleaning company. I don't want them just one person, because I need them to be available basically 365. If I have an emergency cleaning, I want them to accept it. If I have 2 cleanings on the same day, I want them to accept it. I don't want just one cleaner, because they might not be available on Sunday or when I need them on their birthday, for example. So I wanted a small company, um, but not too big, because if it's too big, then they start charging an arm and a leg. So I want a small company.
Too.
They have their cleaning company T-shirts, but they're still aggressive with their pricing.
Yeah.
So I find them on
Yeah. Love that.
Google, Yelp, Craigslist. Yeah.
Gotcha. I actually just sent you, just for as far as Arizona goes, I sent you the cleaning lady that we use on all of our stuff. She has a small team, so might be a good one to reach out to. We've been using her for like 3-4 years.
Cool. Thank you.
Let's see what other questions we have here. Man, you guys are asking so many great questions. Thank you guys so much. Let's see. Leo says, Noah, can we get a deal on your course tonight with a discount if we buy it tonight?
100%. I actually already was prepared for the discount. So because I was asking people what I should charge, and some people were telling me, maybe charge $997, for example. I said, okay, well, I would like to cut that in half. So I set it up for like 498. So
Cool. So if you guys are interested in that, shoot, you could, reach out to Noah directly to, get that set up. Let's see. Oh, this is a good question. So Geoff says, when you're contemplating using a house for Airbnb, do you talk with your neighbors to see if that's going to be a problem? Or if not, have you ever had neighbors turn into a big issue? I worry about
yes,
this. This is my fear.
yes. All great questions, and I think you're picking the best questions. But so what I do is I give the neighbors my phone number. I usually don't go out of. I don't have to go out of my way and knock on their door. I'll see them when I'm setting stuff up. I'll see a neighbor. I'll go introduce myself and tell them I'm going to be managing this property, and we're going to be having traveling workers here, like nurses. I don't say Airbnb. I just say we're going to have traveling workers here, you know, and I give them my phone number, and I try to get their phone number, lock it in, send them a text, so really can really exchange numbers. And I say, you know, if my guests ever block your driveway, for example, please let me know immediately, 24 hours a day. If their music's too loud, which it shouldn't happen, but if by chance it did, let me know. Because what I'm thinking is, I want you to call me before you call the cops.
Yeah.
But I haven't had too many big problems. I mean, not much at all. Matter of fact, just today, a neighbor called me and she told me she just wanted to let me know she's selling her house. You know, she's looking, and it's a good price. If anybody's looking for a house in Fresno, it's not good enough. It's not. She's not doing owner finance with the low down, but it's a good
Yeah.
price though. Yeah.
Nice. Love that. Let's see. Chris Vasquez asking how accurate is the air DNA data? That was answered a little bit ago. You can go back to that, but Noah said that it is pretty accurate. It is pretty helpful, but it sounds like Price Labs gives you the most accurate and updated, right?
I think AirDNA might have some deeper data and more individualized property data for all the other competitors, but AirDNA is like at least a month lagging behind. It won't show new stuff. Yeah, but AirDNA is pretty good. Yeah.
Awesome. This is actually, guys, you guys are bringing the best questions right now. This is something literally Pace and I were talking about this last week because we're starting to put some money aside because we want to buy a cabin up north in Flagstaff on some land, and we're considering buying that and Airbnb-ing it while we're not there. But how do you come up with numbers on something like that? I don't know if that's something that you typically have worked in, these rural properties like a cabin in the mountains. Are you just trusting the numbers on an AirDNA, or do you have to kind of do a little bit deeper research?
So usually before I even go to AirDNA, I'll go just to Airbnb itself, and I'll type in an address. I'll look around and see what else is available, and um, I'll look at the other properties and how many reviews they have, because you have to be a paying guest to review. So if you see properties with one review or zero reviews, that's you don't even look at it. But if they have 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 reviews, that means there's some good demand in that area, you know. And then if you see, a few dozen properties, over 5 square miles or something, then you have good demand. I just count the reviews. And you can also, if you want more info, you can just read the reviews, because people will say why they're visiting that town, right in their reviews. So I get a lot of good intel. Yeah, so I'll just go right to Airbnb before I even go to AirDNA. I'll just look around, and you can type different dates, because if you type, so I wouldn't put any dates in when I'm first looking, because if you put dates in, you'll see what's available on those dates, and maybe everything's booked, so you don't see anything. So I might put in dates like 6 months from now or 3 months from now to see what else is available. But yeah, with pricing. I start high because you might get booked if you start too low. So I mean, if you start too low, be careful. Don't let you can set like a couple of weeks low and then like set it higher just in case. So I used to like set my future prices really high in case someone wants to book way in advance. Now I just have everything set to dynamic pricing. So, but even then, with dynamic pricing, that's like Price Labs or Beyond Pricing. You set your minimum, and basically your minimum price, your minimum nightly should basically be just all your monthly expenses divided by 30. That's like your minimum you're willing to take, like in the worst case scenario. Like if it's really slow, take all your expenses divided by 30. That's your minimum nightly you're willing to take. And then about 50% higher should be like your base price. So in high demand times, it could go, way up higher than that.
Love that. That's super valuable. So I don't want to. I hope I don't mispronounce the name. Suheeb is asking what's the best way to get started as soon as possible with short-term rentals. It sounds like arbitrage, right? With the lease arbitrage. Is there another way that you would recommend, or would you say that's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I would say just go to realtor.com, buy a perfect house, all cash tomorrow, and get all the furniture set up. No, I mean, so it's tricky, right? Like it depends
Yeah,
it depends how much money you have, you
yeah,
know, and even arbitrage is hard. Like so the numbers that I've heard are if you make an appointment and say, hey, I would like to see your house. You call like a mom and pop property owner. I'm interested in renting your house. Can I see it? When you show up, you dress nice and you tell them what you want to do, and you sound sophisticated and let them know he's not going to have to deal with maintenance or anything. You're going to handle all of that, and you can pay a couple of months in advance or whatever. And then if you talk to 10 landlords, you might get one yes. So that's the number I heard.
interesting. I was one of those landlords.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
So
I think I told you about that on. We rented the front house that we had at one of our at our Encanto Historic District property, and then this company Loftium had they were renting out. They were doing the arbitrage on the back. They went out of business though when COVID hit, so they were probably a little bit over leveraged.
man, and people are swooping up their stuff now too. I'm
Yeah, have
sure.
you been seeing that?
No, I mean I've heard about a couple of big operations like that who kind of crashed.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say if somebody was doing that? Because I know some of the people that are listening in, they are, newer investors. Maybe they're wholesaling or flipping or doing some, other strategies, or maybe they're, listening in and they haven't done any real estate type of deal at all. And maybe they're working a job. I mean, what would you say? And obviously it can vary so much based on the market and everything, but what would be some of the biggest things that you should look at to make sure you're prepared to get started with an Airbnb? Say you're going to do the arbitrage model. You're going to find a landlord and a reasonable median price of a rent in that particular market, and they need to go get it furnished. How long should that take them? What should that kind of look like?
So how long would it take them to get so getting the landlord to say yes, that's kind of the mystery
Yeah.
timeline.
Let's say they
Depends.
have say that
Okay.
I'm the landlord. I'm like, yeah, like let's do it. Go
Okay.
ahead, get started today. They get me to my deposit. Like how long, if they hustle, should they expect to, get it set up and start, being able to get bookings coming in?
I mean, if they have, if 1 week. I mean, if they work hard,
Mm-hmm.
they get it, they rent a truck, whatever they got to do. One
Mm-hmm.
week, you can get the house up and running. And the good thing about Airbnb, and by the way, the app is even easier than the website on Airbnb. You can
Mm-hmm.
literally upload photos of your property and list it and have it booked the same day. Same day. And I've done that many times, including Pace's Vegas house. While I was at the airport, like someone booked that house. And by the way, it's been 5 months now. She's still there. Same lady.
Wait, so the lady's been Airbnb-ing it for 5 months?
Yeah. So she was coming to Vegas to she wanted to rent it so she could find a permanent home. And she just I guess never had time to do that. So she's just paying kind of a short term. I mean, she asked for a little bit of a discount at the second month and the third month, and then we had to just say, okay, this is as low as we can go. We're at 3,600 a month now, for her, but normal rent was probably under 2 grand, you
Yeah,
know,
that's
and
great.
and she's just too busy to go find another place. So a lot of my customers, they want places for a few months. They don't want to sign a year lease. They don't want to buy furniture, and they don't want to stay in a hotel for that long.
Yeah. I mean, I look at that. I love Airbnb. I mean, as a consumer, I'm going to Mexico next month and I'm staying in a house in Cabo for 10 days, and it's furnished. I don't want to go stay at a resort, and me and my girlfriend are going to Colombia for a month in July, and we're going to stay in an Airbnb out there. I mean, I think it's great. They're way better than hotels for sure.
I have a buddy in Medellin, so if you're going there, you should definitely say
Yeah, that's
hi.
where I'm going.
Yeah, and so I manage three of his units on Airbnb here in the Bay Area. Yeah.
Oh my, that's awesome. I was actually thinking about, I'm like, man, like I've been to Colombia a bunch of times. I mean, I love it down there. It's really, really cool area. So I was thinking, I'm like, what if, bought some property down there and, Airbnb there too.
Well, talk to Burton, man. I got a buddy out there, and it's I don't know, I forget what the little area is, like Pablo Village or whatever it is.
Uh, uh, yeah. I can't really say it. I
Yeah,
don't speak Spanish, but I know it's the main little city hub down there.
yeah. But so look around with him, man. He will be your tour guide, 100%. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to link up with them when we go out there. So I know we're coming up on an hour now. On the subject of Airbnb. So if you guys have any other questions, let's get a couple more questions before we wrap up here in the next couple of minutes. I did see something that Darren brought up on. Looked at a home in my area near wineries, and AirDNA said the occupancy percentage should be around 30%. Wasn't sure if that would be too low per month. I mean, what would you say is too low in your opinion?
So honestly, the thing is about AirDNA, when they give an occupancy, they always have it really low with a really high nightly price. And I've never really got that about that. I need to talk to their support and figure out why they do that. But what I do is I usually do hit that number, that annual number, but I lower the nightly price, and then I usually have it booked more like 90%, 90% occupancy. So if they tell you it's going to be booked 30% at $300 a night, you might end up being still booked 90% of the time at $100 a night or something. I'm not sure exactly, but maybe new areas might have some different seasonality issues.
Gotcha. This is a great question from Evan here. So, and maybe it's something that you do or don't do, but what website do you go to when you're looking for traveling nurses or workers to stay at your Airbnbs, or do you just that's just a common type of individual that does book?
Yeah, we get nurses all the time. They do like 13-week stays at tons of properties, and they find me on Airbnb. So there are other nurse specific sites like furnishedfinders.com. But my experience on Furnished Finders is they were lowballing us, and it's like, nah, no thanks, So we just stick with Airbnb, and they find us when they want like a nicer property. On Furnished Finders, they're getting they're renting rooms from people, and they're trying to do a discount. So I don't know the other options. I'm sure there are many other options.
Gotcha. Awesome. So T-Town Supreme is asking, what are some of the basic things that you have in, bathroom, kitchens, fridge that guests find, and like to have?
So in every bedroom, we like to have 2 nightstands, and the guests, they teach me what they want. They want a nightstand on both sides of the bed with a little lamp, so they can read their little book or whatever. I don't know who's doing that, but that's what we have. We like to have art on the wall, on 2 or 3 walls. I like to have make sure that there's a handy outlet where they can charge their phone right next to the bed. Like unfortunately, a lot of times the electric outlet is like behind the bed, underneath it. So I'll make sure they don't have to climb under there. I'll go in there and plug in an extension cord, and I might even like zip tie it to the side of the bed so it doesn't get lost. And it'll be like right there, easy access. Or I might put like some kind of a wireless charger right on the table next to them, something like that. In the fridge, I don't leave anything. I just leave coffee pot, coffee filters, stuff like that. I'm trying to slowly roll out some other grocery delivery options. I just started using Walmart grocery. So there's a service called Walmart Plus, and you subscribe. It's kind of like Amazon Prime, and then you get these free deliveries. And on Walmart grocery, it's called Walmart Pickup and Delivery. You can have an order delivered in a 1-hour time period, like Monday between 1 and 2. So I'm thinking about, giving my guests an ability to order some groceries, and charge them for that service.
Yeah.
But, really customize it. So if they want a fruit basket, we can have it for them.
I like that. Here's a good topic, I think we could probably, talk about this and then, go ahead and wrap it up here. So Steve's saying, I love Airbnb, but, I'm scared to be honest because of government lockdowns on a whim. I'd love to hear your opinion on that. I'll share, quickly mine and Pace's opinion on things that are going on right now. It's no secret. Obviously, we have a lot of weird things that are going on in the US right now. And, where we're investing primarily in Arizona, with the moratorium currently until the end of March. Obviously, we're in February right now, but we're having issues with some of our normal tenants in properties that, they just aren't paying rent. So we're having non-payment issues, which we can't evict for currently. So for us, we're hedging a little bit on, getting more Airbnbs going so that we can, even out, because we have quite a few tenants that aren't paying and they just, have the CDC declaration. So they're able to not have to pay and it just doesn't matter. And we just have to keep paying the mortgages. So we're specifically hedging a little bit more on Airbnb. Like I would love to see for us to have, 5 to 10 Airbnbs by the end of this year running here in Arizona to, kind of even out some of the rentals that we have, because people are still going to travel regardless. In my opinion, Steve, and, in my thought process for Arizona as well, is there's a lot of people that travel to Arizona for healthcare things. There's a lot of hospitals here. There's a lot of, service type jobs where people do travel here. So that's, those are some of the things that I think about that would still keep occupancy up. And people travel to Arizona in general for the weather. And so, regardless of COVID or, lockdowns that are going on, with the airlines still running, people will still be traveling, even if it's to just be in a different climate. So that's kind of my thought process on it. Obviously, there's a risk in everything that you do. And it's just, you got to, assess your own risk tolerance on that. But, what are your thoughts on that, Noah? Or if there's, to assess, within your risk, do you recommend, having a certain amount of reserves for your particular property, whether it's a certain amount of months of reserves or a certain amount of, capital based on the property, or what is that? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think for reserves, I would say you should just be able to withstand breaking even, maybe not making back some of your upfront capital you put in. If you break even on your mortgage and expenses, can you survive that a few months?
Yeah.
But we've done better than that. I think entrepreneurship is a risky sport.
It's all risky, but
It's all
don't buy.
risky.
It's risky. If you buy, it's risky. If you don't, it's all risky.
So I say get in the fight, get in the game, get in the fight. You might take one hit, but then you're going to win in the end. So I say don't be scared. Also, we just listed a Hawaii unit recently, and I look forward to getting out there soon, and also listing some more units in Hawaii hopefully soon. But and tourism is picking up out there, and I use Price Labs to see like the bookings are going up. Like I say the vaccines rolling out, people are feeling good. I think the glass is still half full.
Yeah, 100%. I agree on that. So end of the day, you have to, assess your risk tolerance. I'm in total agreement with you on that, Noah. I think, people are starting to go out more. I was in Las Vegas last weekend and it was packed. Like it was packed wall to wall, and like the casinos, like people were everywhere. I mean, they're still wearing masks, but it was packed out there. So it was super interesting. I think, you're definitely right on that, where tourism is picking up. I mean, wherever I've been traveling to, I've been seeing a lot more people bouncing around. So, it's super encouraging to see that as well. So, guys, to be, to connect with Noah, you can follow him on Instagram, Airbnb King Noah. You can reach out to him on Facebook as well. He has a course that he's coming out with next weekend on, doing short-term rentals and, kind of start to finish. So, Noah, I know that Pace and myself appreciate you so much, and, the help and guidance that you've given us on the properties that he has set up for himself already, and then the ones that me and him are going to be doing together with you. So, we're just so excited to rock and roll, and I hope you're ready to, do 5 to 10 with us, additional ones this year.
100%, man. I'm super excited, and thank you guys.
Awesome. Well, Noah, thanks for being on tonight. Any closing thoughts that you want to share with everyone on before we hop off?
Yeah. So in closing, beside, I love Airbnb, but I'm also huge and a huge, I'm like new into wholesale, and I'm really serious about it. And we are building a super awesome door knocking team in California. If anybody is looking to join a door knocking team, please reach out to me in California, and we're building it, and it's successful. We also have a weekday skills and seller call session every morning, weekday warrior program, 7 to 8 a.m. Pacific. So reach out to me about that too.
Awesome. And again, guys, that's at Airbnb King Noah on Instagram. So amazing, guys. Well, have a great rest of your Sunday evening, everybody. Have an amazing week. And for those of you that have been on, if you didn't know, you can check out Sunday service on Spotify and iTunes. We do this every Sunday at 7 p.m. Arizona time. Happy to have everyone on. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and we will see y'all later.